Hello everyone, today I'm going to be showing you how to use Amazon Web Services CloudFormer tool. So just before we start, I'll go on into a little bit of what it's used for. So within Amazon Web Services you've got various resources. For example, I've got a VPC here, some subnets, route tables, internet gateways. I've also got an instance in EC2 and several other resources as well. And so what CloudFormer allows you to do is make a template of all the resources that you select so you can deploy it later on. It's very handy. So to start, we'll just go into Services, and under Management Tools we'll select CloudFormation. And just check here that you're in this region you want to be in. So I'm in Sydney, which is close enough, so that will do. So I'll click on Create Stack. And under Choose a Template here, click on the drop down box and select the CloudFormer tool. And then continue on. And we're going to give our stack a name. So this is just for the CloudFormer tool. It needs to create a stack. So we'll just call it CloudFormer. And we're going to give it a password as well. And a username. Just this is used to log into the CloudFormer once it's been created. And then go ahead and hit next. We'll put some tags in here just so we can identify it. So I'm just going to put simply CloudFormer. And then hit next. And it just gives us an overview of everything that's going to be created. We'll just acknowledge that and hit create. Now I'm just going to pause the video and we'll jump back in once the status is changed to create complete. Okay, so we can now see that the CloudFormer stack has a status of create complete. This means that it's finished creating all the resources that it needed for that stack so we can use the CloudFormer tool. Just the tip is that if you select the stack name and look under the Events tab, you can see all the various types of resources that it has created. This is important to know that it's created these resources because the next step in using the CloudFormer tool will be selecting the resources we want to back up, and there will be a lot of new resources in there that have been created by CloudFormer. But don't worry, once you're done with CloudFormer and delete the stack, this will remove all of these resources. So if we go into the EC2 Management Console and look under Instances, you will have a new instance that's been created by CloudFormer. So what we want to do is select this instance, copy the public DNS, and you're going to want to paste that in your browser, adding HTTPS first, of course. And now if this is your first time logging into it, it will ask you for the username and password that we chose when we created the stack, but it's remembered it because I logged in just before. And so the first step is selecting the region you want to work with. It's selected Sydney, which is what we want to work with, so we'll select Create Template. Now it's just doing an analysis of all the resources that are in that region on our account. So it only takes a few seconds. And cool, so the first step, we want to enter a description for the template. So I'm just going to call mine template created by CloudFormer screencast, and select continue. So the first step is selecting any DNS settings you want. I don't have any I'm worried about at the moment, so I'll just click continue. And now you want to select your VPC. So as you can see here, it only gives us the ID, not the names we've typed in. So it's a little bit hard to identify it. So if you just go back to double check, and I can see here that my ID ends with E7, so that's the one I want to choose. And click continue. And now it is selected all the resources that are associated with that VPC. So we can see here it's got 4 subnets, an internet gateway, some DHCP options. So that's all good. So we can click continue. So the next step here is to select the network access control lists and route tables. Once again, it's selected the resources that are associated with the VPC we chose before. We can double check this if you just go back into your VPC dashboard. And under route tables, I can just check that the ID of the route tables that I want to include in this template are indeed what's listed there, which they are. So I'll select continue. Choose the elastic IP you want to back up. And select continue. Now it's asking what auto scaling group. It's selected the right one automatically again. And continue. And now it's asking for the launch configurations, which once again it has selected the right one. We don't need to worry about the compute resources, so continue. And we don't need to worry about any of the storage options for this either. And we'll just click continue through storage configuration. Continue through application services. Obviously, if there are any resources that you want in that template in any of these stages, select them, but for my scenario I don't have any, so I'll continue. Now it's asking what EC2 security groups, so I can see the logical name of the ones I want, so I'll select those. And select continue. And there's no other resources that I need to select there, so continue. And now it gives us a summary of all the resources that we've selected that will be included in the template. So you can just go through and double check that you've got everything you want, haven't included anything that you don't want, and then select continue again. And so now it has created our template in the JSON with all of the various resources that we have selected. And so it pays obviously to give it a name. And you can save it directly into an S3 bucket. It does pay to do this because you can also save the template locally, it's listed here. But by saving it in your bucket, it's very useful for when you're actually creating the stack, because if you load your template from a bucket rather than from your local PC, it will give you an overview in the template designer of what the network looks like. So I'm just going to go ahead and click Save Template. And now that has successfully created our template for all those resources. So now we have finished using the CloudFormer tool, we can go on here to delete the stack we created earlier. So if we go onto the services and go back into CloudFormation, we can select the CloudFormer stack, and from the Actions menu, we'll just hit Delete. Now this will remove all the resources created by that stack. Now time to download our JSON file that was created by CloudFormer. So if we go into Services and into S3, and here we just want to go into the bucket you chose to save it in, find the file and download it. So now here I have my template that was created by CloudFormer. Just a tip, I'd recommend using Notepad++ because you can go into the language option and select the JSON language so it formats everything nicely. Another tip when using JSON is to be careful of your spacing, because that will cause it to error out if the spacing is not correct. So scrolling through and looking at this, we can see all the various types of resources that have been created. So subnets, the internet gateway, and many various other resources in there. Where I would start is going through and using the find and replace tool, Control F, and replacing everything with more logical names, because at the moment they do just have default generated names, and this can make it a bit hard to read. Cool, well that's my video on using CloudFormer. I hope you've enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.